All right, the Clarity Academy. It's finally launched. It's finally here, and I'm super excited to bring it to you. I've been talking about it on the podcast for a while. What I wanted to do today is talk about what the program is, what you're going to get by enrolling, who it's for, and then maybe even more importantly, who it's definitely not for. So, for the longest time in my life, I felt really disconnected and lost. And I felt disconnected from myself just as much as kind of from the world around me. And it seemed like everything I did just got me further from being who I wanted to be in the world, because what we're told matters. What the world validates is more. And so I would just do more. I would get a better job, or I'd try to accomplish more, or I would do more athletically. And everything I did, as I would level up and I would do something bigger, what I realized is it was actually taking me further from the path, because these things were demanding more and more of me. It was actually taking me further from where I really wanted to be. And I went through this cycle over and over and over until I hit a point where I realized that I had to step away. It would never stop unless I did. And I had to prioritize myself for a second. I had to prioritize doing the deep work and figuring out what the hell I even wanted out of my life and who I wanted to be in this world. Because if I didn't, I realized the road that I was actually on was going to continue to take me too far away from who I really wanted to be. And I think a lot of us are struggling with that. There might be things in your life that you actually feel okay with, like maybe your relationships or your jobs or your hobby, or there's parts of your life that are really going well for you, and that's perfectly okay. That's great, actually. But then there's going to be other parts of your life where you feel like maybe there's more, except you don't really know what more is, because we're never taught what more is. And so we always just sort of take the road that seems the most gratifying from the world's perspective. The problem is, as we take on more responsibilities in our life, we are wading through our subconscious programming, we're wading through preconceived notions, we're wading through expectations of what the world expects of us and who we're expected to be in this world and what proper being in the world is expected to look like. And so we're wading through all of these things. We're trying to satisfy all of these demands, and at no point are we ever taught to prioritize ourselves and the things that we really want, figuring out what we really want for ourselves in this lifetime. And what's interesting is there's a movement right now to sort of figure out what meaning is. Like, what is our meaning here? What is our purpose here? At 2 a.m. right now, the most Googled term in the world is, what is the meaning of life? The problem is we are wading through all of these subconscious programmings and preconceived notions, and we're trying to jump to the part to figure out what our meaning is. What people are failing to realize is that meaning is derived from living in alignment with your own values. There cannot be a meaning for me and for you that is the exact same thing, because our values are going to be different. It's a very intrinsic thing. And so what you have to do is you have to get to the point where you realize that you're living in alignment with what you value, and then happiness and meaning and these other things are going to just come as a byproduct of being who you want to be in the world. We're going about it wrong. We have to learn to prioritize ourselves and some of this deep work that's going to help us get to who we really want to be, and to even figure out who that person is in the first place. All right, so what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about what you're going to get out of this course as well. So it's a 12-week program. Each week I'm going to release a new lecture or two, and I'm going to talk about some of the concepts of wading through our subconscious and figuring out who we want to be. And then there will be reflective exercises that you'll have to take place in to actually apply this to your life and figure it out for yourself. At the beginning of the course, I'm going to do a 1-hour kickoff group call video where I explain the course and I explain how to use the modules and how to use the tools and what's going to be sort of expected in the coursework. And then also I'll be there to field any questions that you guys have. You'll also get 2 30-minute calls throughout the length of the program to answer any kind of questions. I think that putting this in the middle of the program at the end of the program would be best, but truthfully, whatever works for you is completely okay. We'll schedule 2 30-minute calls to help you in areas that you feel stuck, or maybe in areas that you're having trouble figuring out some of this work. In addition, we're going to have a Slack channel for the entire cohort, everybody in the program, where you're going to be able to not only share your journey, but actually expected to, because there's an accountability piece to doing some of the deep work. Once you get into it, it's really easy to want to shy away from it and to pacify yourself with other things. We do that in life. When we feel struggle, we'll pick up our phone and we'll scroll on Instagram, or we'll go on our computer and we'll go to Facebook. A lot of times that is happening because we're not wanting to face the thing that is the most daunting to us. And so by allowing and by building accountability into this course, it's actually going to help us hold ourselves and each other accountable. So in that Slack group, we're going to foster almost work as a mastermind, because you're going to be in there with other people that are on the same journey as you, and we're going to have to share, and we'll kind of encourage and answer each other's questions, and that will be a great place to help develop some of our growth. You'll also, throughout the course, build a personal manifesto. So this is something that I found to be so important in my own life, because sometimes you do some of the deep work, you figure out who you want to be, and then you go back to your life where all of the responsibilities and the 401ks and the bills and the late payments and everything sort of just presses it back down into your subconscious, and you forget all about it, and then years go by and you're nowhere near where you actually wanted to be in life. The reason we have a personal manifesto is it's something we go back to. We build it into our routine, and we use it to help reprogram ourselves, to remind ourselves of the person that we really want to be in the world. And I have a very keen way of structuring that is actually built off the psychology of how your brain works. And so I found that to be immensely beneficial, because what you don't want is to have your date with destiny, so to speak, figure out who you want to be in the world, and then not go do the work in order to get there, right? Because at that point, we've wasted our time doing the work in the first place. As I said, I hit a point in my life where I absolutely had to prioritize this kind of work. And so I hired coaches, I worked with psychologists, I took other online courses. I did everything that I felt like I had to do in order to start wading through it. And I'll tell you, the person that's waiting on the other side, it's kind of a rock star. You're kind of going to love being that person, but it takes a lot of deep work to get there. This course is modeled after all of that deep work that I've done. And I've actually taken this curriculum and I've bounced it off other psychologists just to make sure that I'm on the right path and doing the right thing with you guys. All right, so who is this course for? I think it goes without saying, if you feel like there's more to life, but you don't know what that more might be, that this is the perfect course for you. That was my situation. I felt lost. I felt disconnected. And so this coursework is directly built off trying to figure that out in your own life. And so if that's you, this would be a great course for you. This course is also for people that are in times of transition, because what happens when we go through transition, or when we go through life, I'll back up a minute, we root our identity in all of the things that we do. So our identity becomes us as a lifter, or us in a relationship, or us as a lawyer, or us as whatever our job is, or our hobby. And we kind of hold on to that. And then what happens when we go through times of transition, not only are we remapping the world out in our own psyche, which is something that I'm going to go over in the course, but then we're also dealing with not knowing who we are in that world to begin with. And so if you're going through transitions, the Clarity Academy to me is going to be one of the most important things you can do, because it helps you figure out exactly who you are and what you want for your life. And then you get to deal with the world as it is. You're not dealing with who you are and dealing with the world. That becomes a really exhaustive process. So we root our identity and our values and our characteristics and things that make us us. And then we're fit for service. Then we're fit to go out into the world, to deal with change, to deal with adversity, and to deal with all of the things, quite frankly, that the world is going to press upon you. Also, if you're somebody that has trouble saying no to people because you're always the kind of person that's pleasing other people, I get it. I understand that need to want to not ruffle feathers, to do the right thing, to not let people down. The problem is, because we're not prioritizing ourselves, we are inherently letting ourselves down, and we're not showing up fit for service the best possible version of who you could be. Because what you find is, when you live in alignment with your values, when you feel like your life has intrinsic meaning, you are so much more on fire to go be the person you want to be. You know, everybody looks for these hacks to performance, to figure out how can I perform better? What is a biohack I can do? What if I drink bulletproof coffee and I do this diet? And at the end of the day, the most efficient route to be a high performer in life is to be performing in an area that you feel called to perform to. And so in a lot of ways, once you get yourself in line, once your subconscious and your conscious mind become in line and they become the person that you want to be, and then your life takes on this meaning, you inherently become a high performer. And you don't need any hack for that. You just need to figure out who you really are and what you really want. Who is this course not for at all? This course is not for people that are not willing to invest time, money, or resources in themselves. Quite frankly, I got to a point where I had to prioritize myself. My psyche demanded it, and you need to be at that point too. If you're not willing to drop the money and drop the time, then quite frankly, this course it's not going to work for you anyway, even if you force it. I remember I was getting ready to take on a coach, and someone said to me, because the price tag was bothering me, and they said, well, look, if you could pay this amount of money and be exactly where you want to be a year from now, would you do it? And I thought, yes, I will, but I didn't do it because it just felt like marketing gimmick. The kicker was a year went by, and I remember in the same month thinking back to that experience a year ago and thinking, I'm nowhere closer to who I want to be. My life isn't any different. I'm not anywhere closer to who I want to be in the world. And so that was sort of this aha moment. It's like, if you don't step off this, if you don't stop this cycle, it's never going to stop. The world's never going to present more options. The world's never going to stop coming and giving you things to invest your time and your attention and your emotional bandwidth, relationships, people. It's going to keep presenting things to you. And if you have no idea who you are and what you want, you're going to keep accepting the wrong things. And so you have to be at a point in your life where you're willing to invest the time and the money to do the deep work. Because the deep work is called deep for a reason. It is exhaustive, and it's not quick. It's not gratifying right off the gate. A lot of times you'll have these exercises, you'll do the deep work, and then 2 weeks later, your conscious mind will be engaged in something, like you'll be on a run or in the shower, and then all of a sudden, the seed that you planted weeks ago all of a sudden sprouts, and all of a sudden you're like, that's what I want. That is what I love to do. And so in a lot of ways, you have to be patient with the process. The other thing that I ask is, if you do decide to enroll in this program, that you trust me to coach you. You trust the process, because like I said, it's not quick. You're not going to sit down for 30 minutes and then just have an answer. The world is loud, right? We pacify ourselves, like I said, with all of these different things. And so you have to be at the point where you're willing to shut the world out and to go about it in the way that I've laid out to go about it. We can't just expect that we're going to read it and then it's going to just happen through osmosis. We have to commit the time to ourselves. And so I ask, if you enroll in this program, be coachable, be willing to accept the process for what it is. I've gone through it. I've gone through it with other people, and I know how long it takes. So that's the course in a nutshell. That's who it's for. That's the why. If you have more questions or more concerns about it, or whether it be right for you, email me, call me, text me. We'll figure it out. I'd love to talk to you about whether this course is going to be right for you, or if there's somewhere else in life, if I can sort of push you in the right direction, then I'm happy to do that too. Because I truthfully, as I thought about making this course and what I wanted out of its impact on the world, I realized I don't ever want another business to go unrealized, another dream to go unrealized, another book to go unwritten, another person to live an inauthentic life that quite honestly feels miserable after years. I want people to be able to feel the same alignment that I feel in my life now. And that's why I made this course. That's what we're doing here. And so I'm super happy to help in any way that I can. Additionally, if you see this course and you think it might be good for you, but you're interested in more one-on-one coaching, you need a little more deep work, like you're feeling really like this isn't the place, I would say try the course. I really believe that it's going to help. But if you do require more, I have one-on-one coaching as well, and I'm completely happy to schedule you in and figure out if we can come up with a solution as far as that goes as well. Really thank you guys for checking it out. If you do decide to take the course, I will be stoked to see you on the inside of the Clarity Academy.